Okay, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Let's talk about it. So I'm excited to talk about this movie because this is another one that it was a childhood staple in the household. It was we watched it to the point where we could recite the lines, the whole movie, and there are several movies we watched as kids that my siblings and I could do that with, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is one of those movies. And I'd watched it recently, and this movie still holds up. This, of course, I'm talking about the 1990 original film. It's really the only Turtles film you need if you want to get real. If we're getting real, that's the one you need. We don't need to talk about any other film in the series. You might mention the 2007 TMNT. That's a cool offering, but it has good things about it. But the real champion is the 1990 original film. And why do I love this film? This film is, I think I've realized as I've gotten older that I like it, I love it a lot more because of the themes, which is not something I would have thought about as a kid. I was a fan of the cartoon, and so when the movie was dropping, I was super excited about that. And of course, I don't know how many of you remember the album that they dropped, "Coming Out of Their Shells." If you remember that, they had the Pizza Hut promotion, and that's funny to me because I had that cassette. I loved that cassette. I listened to it until the tape got warped. It was that's a cool, anyway, have a soft spot in my heart for that album, regardless of what you think about it. The Turtles were a good band too. I think they were a good band. But going back to why the movie's awesome, the themes there's really only one sort of primary theme I think about the film, and that is family. What you have in this movie is really, it's a tale of two families. You have Splinter, who's raising these turtles, and then you have Shredder, who has his own family with the Foot Clan. And it's really cool to see how the values play out between the two sides. Then, of course, you have really good character stuff between each turtle. And then, you got April O'Neil, Casey Jones. You don't really need too much else going on for a solid viewing experience. It's got good action and great practical effects, which, I've said this before, I'll continue saying this again, that practical effects, sometimes you can't really go wrong with that. When you compare this movie to the Michael Bay produced Turtles films, I think the one of the biggest things that put me off from the new films, which I still haven't seen all the way through, is the digitally created versions of the Turtles. I know there's a little bit more leeway with digitally created things. You can pretty much do anything with it. You can have characters flip and fly and do all kinds of crazy stuff, and it can be passable. The tricky thing about that is that sometimes the digital effects don't always trick your eye into thinking that what's on screen is actually on screen. I mean, there's ways we can buy in, but there's something about those original turtles and how the skin looked and how their bodies moved. Yeah, there were people in suits, but that was real. Something was actually there, and they were too for the new ones too. It's just, I don't know, something about it. It just looks more tactile. You could see like the way water hit the skin and how they were able to, the animatronic pieces, how they could create believable, detailed facial expressions. Like if someone was excited, they could do like eyebrow raises and like it was, yeah, it's you can't beat that. And so I would take that over computer generated turtles any day. So it just looks good, and for a family film, there's an element of it that's kind of dark. There's some darkness in it. You know, when you watch it as a grown up, you go, some of this is actually, I don't know how, I question whether or not this was really for kids, because the action is so kinetic, and some of this, especially when you get to that last act, the third act, stuff's going on, and the turtles have to fight Shredder, for real. They have to face the Shredder, and it's not a joke. That it's serious. For it's not cartoon violence like that, and that's where I think the film does a good job at taking the grit from the graphic novel series and the fun from the cartoon series, and in making something that actually works well on the big screen. It's not too dark and it's not too light and cartoony like the later films, I think, get that way. I think when you get to Turtles 2 and 3, and then of course 4, it's much more cartoon-esque, and that's fine. I think there's nothing wrong with that. That's always fun. But for my money, the original, it's got a good balance of both things. It's not too light. It's not too. I think you got a good mix of stuff going on, and it's a real. It's just, again, that family theme, the family thread, is really what makes it really good. Like it's a good situation. You can't. Yeah, you get it's enough. There's enough. There's a good amount of drama going on, and it's got everything you need. It's got some good stuff going on. So that's. I might have to mess around and watch it again before the weekend is done, because it's good, man. That's a good. You don't really need to. You don't need to. Why would you remake that? Why would you? It's perfect. It's literally a perfect Turtles film. I don't think you need to do anything else. Oh, you know what else is cool about the film? Like, there's something to be said for the 1990s aesthetic, what people dressed like, and what everything looked like. There's a certain nostalgia for that. I think the look of it, because everything looks just so different now. 1990s New York is definitely it's its own energy, and it feels gritty and grimy, and like the kind of place that the turtles would be active in, going in and taking down crime. The other thing that's cool about it, it's got a good sense of drama. It feels like a good, honest to goodness crime drama in a way, with just some lighthearted fun in it, And probably the best thing about it, I think, too, at the heart of it, is just the relationship between the turtles. If you've got brothers or siblings, you understand all of that. All of that is I'm one of 5 siblings, but 1 of 3 brothers, and that the whole dynamic of the turtles is real to me. I recognize it. I live it every day. So it's actually it's kind of cool to see that on screen, and to see how it's actually beautiful, really, to see how the range of emotions. You get to see them when they're bonding. You get to see them when they're fighting. You get to see Splinter trying to come in and be a dad and sort of quell the tension between them. It's actually beautiful in that way. You don't it's just well done how puppets and like entities on screen that are not, they don't look like us humans, are superhuman. They're like very human and super emotional, and their hearts really bleed through you feel the heart in it. There's a ton of heart in this movie. So look, I think I've said enough. Can't tell you how great this movie is. If you haven't seen it, which you're ridiculous, if you haven't seen it, watch this movie just for fun. Turtles fans, hey, Turtle Power, what time it is. Watch this movie. The movie's amazing. So that's it. That's all I'm going to say on this one. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next video. I'm out of here.